Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. It's MMA Friday with me, MadMikeBmx, and today I've got Jason back, which is if you want to follow him on socials, he is Rock and Roll BMX.
How's it
Um,
going?
how you doing, Jason? What's going on?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I'm enjoying this nice little cool front that came in.
All right. I've got a cool front here too. It was only like 50 degrees here today,
Oh
so
wow, yeah.
yeah, nice
That
and
was our
chilly.
low in the middle of the night.
Yeah. Well, that's why I had the furnace guy here. Remember, I was telling you we had to delay
Yep,
this a little bit. Hey, it's cold here. It's gonna be 30 when I wake up, so.
gotta have that ready.
That's right. Well, I got a few topics to go over today, and we're gonna start with UFC Fight Night, Pereira versus Hernandez. Basically, we're gonna just give our opinions on who's gonna win and why. Before I we go into our own decisions, let me just go ahead and say Hernandez is 12 wins, 2 losses, and Pereira is 31 wins, 11 losses. Um, just to give you an experience heads up there with these guys. Now, in my opinion, I went back and watched some of these fights, and I'm leaning towards Pereira on this one. I think he's more of a finisher, and he's got a little bit more experience. Hernandez isn't anybody to laugh at either, though. I feel like this is going to be a close one. Even the betting odds have this one close. Have you looked into this fight, and what are your thoughts on it?
So Hernandez, I think, is looking for a win here. Um, he's coming off of a couple cancels. He's coming off of a win from Roman Kopylov, but he's looking for this win from Pereira to show that he's like still got this going for him, and he's ready to step up. Although we got Pereira on the other hand, he had a cancellation, and then but he's won his last fight. Prior to that, he's only had one little cancellation prior to this. So, but also there. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, now I pulled up a little bit of stats. I know you can't see it, but they're the same age.
Yep,
Pereira's got
I believe
1 inch
same.
over him, but Hernandez has a 2 inch reach advantage. Is that going to play a factor?
With that reach advantage, it always is going to come into play. But again, is it going to be a slugfest or is it going to be a grapple game? Both of these guys like to bang, but knowing that both these guys like to bang, it might end up on the ground.
Well, then who shoots first?
I think it's going to be Hernandez.
All right. So Hernandez is going to shoot. He does have the reach advantage. In my opinion, usually the shorter reach guy will take a level change first, but that, 2 inches, depending on how their stature is when they're in the ring, may not be enough to solidify a shoot. And he may just be winning with that stand up and keep it standing up. Um, Hernandez might have a stronger ground game, so it is potentially he could take it to the ground first. I would like to see these guys stand up the whole time. I just don't. I see right at the beginning of the second round this going to the floor, and it's going to be basically the ref saying, "Worker, I'm going to stand you up."
Absolutely. That's kind of what I'm thinking too. It's going to be first round, first 2.5 minutes. It's going to be them filling each other out. Uh, I think Pereira is going to lean in first, and that's why I'm saying Hernandez is going to be the first one to shoot. And like you said, it's probably going to come in that second round. I think Pereira is going to get some shots off in the first round, and Hernandez is going to be kind of stepping back. Again, I'm looking at their records here. Same you were looking at the stats. The 12-2 and 31-11 with that many more fights, if this does go longer, I think this is definitely going to go Pereira.
Okay, okay. I believe, and I'm gonna double check my DraftKings picks real quick on my cell phone, but I'm pretty sure I put most of the money down on Pereira on this one.
That
I
sounds
was
like a
thinking
smart bet.
I was thinking with the experience, like you said, 11 losses seems like a lot, but he's almost has as many losses as Hernandez does victories. And I think the experience from those losses is enough gained to overcome anything the up and comer has. So that being
Absolutely.
said, I'm pretty positive. I'm pulling it up right now, checking my bets. And yes, so I put most of my money on Pereira. I was thinking he was going to win. So that's I'm going to stick with that right now. He is the underdog though. Just to let you know, DraftKings has him as the underdog, but it's like a coin flip. It's 110 to like
I think
120.
it's also, again, it's the young guy. He's got a reach advantage. Again, they like to push these young cats up through these ranks real quick. That's why they give them these veterans that have been fighting and fighting and fighting. So even with that being said, I still think Pereira has got, like you said, he's got plenty of losses to learn from, to glean off of, and he's got plenty of time in the ring. 31 wins. You know what I'm saying? That's almost three times as many wins as Anthony Hernandez. So, I mean, that's my money's on Pereira.
It is substantial. It is quite a bit. And that's why I went with Pereira too. I was like, there's no way a guy that seasoned is just going to get pummeled. I had been wrong before, but with the odds being this close, I'm going to
All it
stick with
takes
my
is one
guns.
shot.
Yeah, it does. And again, I didn't bet the bank on this, so
Yeah,
we're just rolling over
absolutely.
any funds into the next fights, which the next fights, I only cover really the main fight on these fight nights. But tomorrow we are still loaded with more than just UFC. I don't typically talk about PFL much, but that's going to lead me into the next area where we do have some PFL fights coming up. Um,
Woo.
we got Cyborg making a return to the ring. This is what they're calling, a super fight because she's technically the Bellator champ, and Pacheco is the PFL champ, and they're putting them together for a women's super fight. I'm excited to see Cyborg back in the ring. She's always a blast to watch. 27 wins, 2 losses. But Pacheco, I hear she's a bad one. I hear she's got a win over Kayla Harrison, which is I'm expecting to just take over that weight class over in the UFC, that 135. Now, that being said, that means this woman was fighting at a heavier weight class than 135 because Kayla Harrison was fighting at 155. That means if they're coming down in weight, if they're anywhere near 145, I'm still going to lean towards Cyborg. Um, but I am interested. I don't follow PFL very much, so I want to see
Yeah, neither do
what
I.
these women's clash can really end up being. How do you see this one turning out?
Um, with Larissa being the PFL champ right now, I think Cyborg has a lot to prove. She's coming in, uh, with a title fight. You, like you said, have the Bellator belt. There's a lot on her back to prove that she can just hop in here and take down the top, contenders. Um, Also, Cyborg, what Cyborg are we going to get? Like you said, 27 fights, I believe you said, 27 wins. Um, that's a lot of fights, and there's been a lot of different cyborgs that we've seen. Um, is it going to be big cyborg, small cyborg? I mean, they are featherweight, so she is limited there. But like you said, if Pacheco has fought Kayla at around 155 and she's cutting down for this, is that going to affect them? Is that going to affect Cyborg? That's a big factor as
I
well.
mean, we have seen weight cuts in the past, and if they're drastic, when they lighten up too much, they can't take the blow. There's just not enough impact absorption there, and that could be the case here. But again, that could go either way on this
It could
fight.
go. I was just about to say it could go either way. If Pacheco gets a good shot on Cyborg, it could take her down, and the same vice versa. Like so, who's gonna come in with the better weight cut? Who's, are they both taking time? Did they take time, to really get down to that, or did they rush it at the end? It'll be interesting to see.
Now I hear Cyborg has been training and being trained specifically on better stand up by Holly Holmes. Her and
Oh
Holly
my.
Holmes went the distance in their last fight, and Holly Holmes has actually put her UFC fights on hold to help Cyborg with this fight. I think with the experience in Cyborg's corner, I think, and as big a banger as she is, I think she can get it done. I put my money on Cyborg when I did my DraftKings bets. And now that could be ill-willed. I'm not sure if this other girl is going to be somebody who's got stellar ground game and just going to be able to
I was
hold her
absolutely going to
down.
ask,
Bigger,
do
she
you
may be a
think it's
bigger
going to
girl.
stay standing up? Yeah.
Well, every round starts standing up. So if she wants to take it to the ground, she's got to force Cyborg to the ground, and
Absolutely. Which is going to
Cyborg
be a
is a
task.
beast. It is a
Yeah,
task, yeah.
absolutely.
But that being said, she was able to take Kayla Harrison down, a two-time Olympic judo champion, gold medalist. So that
Yeah.
being said, she's got the skills to take Cyborg down.
She's got to be a little mean pit bull for sure.
So are you seeing it pretty much the same way I do? Is if it stays standing up, Cyborg's probably going to dominate, and if it goes to the ground and Cyborg can't get up, she's going to get smothered.
Oh, absolutely. She will get smothered if it goes to the ground. I
Now, don't get me
I am
wrong,
not sure.
Cyborg
I am
is
not
tough.
sure.
Yeah,
I'm not
Cyborg's
sure
tough.
if
She
it's
can
gonna
probably
go.
stand up.
I'm not sure if it's gonna go to the ground. I think Pacheco might want to, prove herself in this aspect. I mean, Cyborg, everybody knows is a boxer. She is coming in there to throw bombs. So this could be an opportunity for Pacheco to really shine and showcase some boxing skills. But if you're saying that Cyborg is training with Holly Holmes got a mean jab. So if Cyborg can keep her at bay, and it stays on the feet, absolutely. Cyborg, if it goes anywhere else, I think Pacheco's got this.
Yeah, and Holly Holmes, she was an undefeated kickboxer. And a champion at that. So
Will we see some head kicks?
I hope. You know how I love some head kicks. I'm usually
Ollie
sitting in
Holmes
front of
loves
the
them
TV
as
going
well.
head kick, so I would love to see it. Yeah, and this is to me. I feel like this is a pretty exciting card. They planned it well with their pay per view with PFL, knowing that it was only a fight night with UFC and calling it the Battle of Giants. They knew we were gonna tune away from some mids to check out this. Even though we
Absolutely.
consider them the B League, we still kind of want to see what Cyborg and Francis can do.
Absolutely. I was interested that it was a very interesting thing that, they're starting UFC at 3 and then this starts at 4. Uh, do you think that that's going to, have an issue at all? I mean, the main card on each one will definitely be separated, um,
Well,
by about,
your
30
casuals,
45 minutes, but
aren't even going to know PFLs on.
that's
Um,
true.
and to be honest, if it wasn't ex UFC fighters that I followed, I probably wouldn't tune into the PFL. But they are having a big banger fight, and the UFC, even though their fight nights are up and comers that are really battling it out, trying to make it onto some main cards, I feel like Nagano and Cyborg are enough to get the eyes off the UFC for a little bit. Um, and they timed it like that on purpose because they want to wrap UFC up, and then
Yep. Right
everybody
in the
they know
main card.
everybody's curious
Yep.
for that. So that last hour is everybody tuning into Cyborg and the Francis fight right there, which leads me in to the main fight for the PFL is Francis
Ooh.
Ngannou versus
Ooh.
Ferreira. Now this is their champion versus UFC's ex champion. I saw him put the gloves on for the first time in the middle of the week, Francis, and he is still a big, scary beast. Um, Here's how I see this one playing out, and you can tell me if you see this another way. I see Francis making this is stand up making light work of Ferreira, but I also see Francis
Ooh.
smothering him. The Aspinall's teammate, which isn't I would say he's not as good as Aspinall, said he went in there and just mauled Ferreira, made it look easy work.
Oh wow.
And then now we've got Francis, who some consider top tier, if not the best heavyweight in the world. He didn't ever get beat and lose his title, or he's been beat, but he didn't lose his title from a fight. He gave it up to move on to find better money. Um,
Absolutely.
I think Francis is gonna. Of course, he loves to stand and bang. I think he's gonna try to show us some ground game. I think he's watched the footage. He knows if he takes this guy down, he can lay on him enough to wear him out where he can solidify either a knockout after the dude's worn out, or he can just lay on him and just weigh him down, and the dude's not very good at getting back up. Um, I know we don't follow PFL too much, but what do you find in that kind of fight um, where we know somebody from the UFC's teammate has just mauled this guy, but he is the champion over here in PFL. And then you've got a nasty dude like Nagano just coming in. How do you see it playing out?
Well, I mean, if I'm not wrong, Ngannou is not known for grappling. Um, so this other guy is quite a bit heavier than Ngannou. He's coming in at 265. I mean, not quite a bit, but I mean, every pound counts, right? Especially if somebody's laying on top of you. Um, so I don't know if he's gonna really be able to go to the ground. I don't think it's gonna go to the ground. I think these guys are gonna slug it out. Uh, is it gonna be Ngannou? Man, this is a big heavyweight fight. It can be anybody at any time, any
And it
fist,
could.
any mailbox coming through somebody's face. Um,
Now, I know Nagano's technically not known to be the guy to take people down, but he had a blown ACL and he definitely did it to Cyril Gahn. So we know he's got takedowns and he has been working on that pretty good. Is it going to be rusty because he went over to boxing and is he just going to just try to box it out? These guys going to stand up? I think Francis is here to put a statement on it. I think he wants to show that he's more well-rounded now. I think he wants to throw that in kind of Dana White's face. Look what you're losing. Not
absolutely.
only am I the most dangerous dude standing up in the MMA game, but look, I've learned some ground game now. And if you put me in there with John Jones, he'd be in trouble too. And I think that's the statement he's looking for. I think in the back of his mind, he really does want to come back to the UFC for that John Jones fight, but he's put himself in this predicament. So now he's really got to show out to let everybody know who he is and remind us who he is because it's been a while since we've seen Nagano step into an MMA ring.
Absolutely. Do you think, like you said, do you think him going to boxing had a big effect on him coming back to an MMA kind of event to re-show, like, hey, I still have it. I still want to do this portion. I just stepped away from it to kind of put words on this other thing.
I get it. He was out after the bag. UFC wasn't paying him what he wanted. He went and got himself
Exactly.
several million. I think
I wasn't gonna say it, but
he did. Hey, he was clear about it. I'm chasing the bag. I got the dollars. I got it from Fury and Joshua, and now I can come back comfortably to the UFC, not have to worry about my financial gain, and I can actually worry about how I'm fighting. Um, Now, while he was doing the boxing, was he working on any ground game in the gym? Probably not. And that's where I think we're going to see if is the ring rust. Is this guy going to take advantage of Nagano going in and doing some boxing and try to do a single or a double leg and take him down? It could be the opposite of what we're thinking. It could be Pereira coming in and saying, you know what? You messed up by doing all this boxing, double leg, take him down, lay on him. It's not the first time we've seen that happen. That's how Stipe got the win. Stipe was like, "Yo, you hit me once, but I'll dodge these and I'll take you down and I'll lay on you because I'm a professional wrestler and you don't know how to
you
do
can't do
this."
anything about it. Absolutely.
Exactly. So it definitely could go that way. Now, being the UFC guys that we are, I put my money on the UFCs. So I put my money on Nagano and Cyborg on this
Just
one. Just hey,
absolutely.
why not? Yeah, we cover UFC, why not go for the people who used to be in the UFC? Um, we've been seeing a lot more people walk away and try their hand at stuff. So I'm really curious. Can Nagano do this? And um, I put my money on it. So yeah, I'm gonna say Nagano gets it done. I'm gonna go round three stoppage. Not a clear knockout. It's not gonna He's not gonna fold him like a lawn chair, but
I don't think it.
I feel like it's gonna be a stoppage round three, early round
I don't
three.
think it goes to round three. I think it goes. I don't think it goes more than 3 minutes in the round two.
Okay, so
Yeah.
midway through round two, just a little over. Nagano gets it done. Is it a knockout? Do we see Nagano choke him out with a submission? Wouldn't that be
No,
wild if
no.
Nagano
It's
came
gonna
in with an
be.
armbar?
It's gonna be one. It's gonna be a knockout. I don't think there's gonna be any grappling, submitting, none of that. There's no ground game happening here. I think this is two big boys coming in with things to prove. You got Ferreira. He's coming in with a belt, and like you said, he's coming in with fights. He's been fighting. This is what he's been doing. He's clearly got the belt, and now Ngannou coming from boxing. Like, does he have the ring rust, like you said? We don't know. Has he been practicing his grappling? We don't know. We're gonna see. I don't think that it's gonna get into the third round. I think it's gonna be a slugfest, and I can't say who it's gonna be because again, heavyweights anybody's bout.
Alright, I'm gonna twist your arm and make you put money down. Let's just say you had to put money down on one of these big
Ferrer.
boys. Ferreira, you're gonna go
I
with the
think
PFL's
Ferrer.
current reigning
I
champion.
think I think it's it. I didn't want it to come to this, but I think he's trying to prove the PFL. And here's the other thing: if we think Cyborg's going to win, he's going to have a lot more on his shoulders, right? If two people go down from former UFC champs, come on.
Could could be amazing. Hey, well, we
I
got a
have
clash
a
on we got a clash on that one. We can definitely recap that one next week, when we look at the winners and losers again. Now, again, you're gonna go with Ferreira. I'm gonna go with Nagano. I say early round three, probably the first minute and a half, 2 minutes into round three, stoppage. He's gonna knock him down. He's gonna go up. Ferreira's gonna shell up and he's gonna ground and pound with some hammer fist. Ref's gonna step in and stop it. That's how I see that going.
I think Ngannou is going to be slow in the first round. He's not really going to be putting forth any effort to really knock him out. I think he's going to be filling him out. Whereas Ferrer is going to be pressing, and he's going to. I think he might catch him a couple times in that first round, and then if he catches him a couple times, then that second round, the start of the second round, it's like a shark in the water. He's going to smell that blood, and he is going in for the kill, and it's going to be an early second round.
Wish I could have found a presser with the PFL so we could have seen these guys stand up before and face off. Seen any mental games they were playing. That's what I really like about the UFC's pay per view. I can see if it's a poor weight cut. I can see if they're playing mental games and somebody's shook or not. I didn't get to see these guys stand up and stare in each other's eyes. So I'm not sure who turned away and looked away first. Mike Tyson used to say, "Whoever looks away first loses." Um,
Absolutely.
and he's a beast, so he would probably know. Um, again, we're split on this one. I think we were together on the Cyborg one. We think Cyborg's going to take that, and we're a little bit split on this one, which is fun. It makes things interesting. That way, when we recap,
Absolutely.
hey, it went my way or it didn't, So
But speaking of these UFC fighters in PFL, what do you think about fighters who have either, lost their contract or left UFC and joined other leagues and are now having success?
That's a very good question. I mean, it really depends on who we're talking about here. This is Francis's first fight away from the organization, so I'm really curious to see how he handles this, not being under the same spotlight. Maybe there's less pressure at not being UFC, it not being the top uh, fighting league. Maybe he's got a little bit less on his
And the
shoulders.
money is in the bank, he doesn't have to worry about that like you said earlier.
True. All he had to do was focus on training this go around. He doesn't have to worry about where his next paycheck's coming from. If there's money to pay any of his trainers, he's got plenty of dough in the banks. So that could play a factor. And really, like I said, it depends on who they are. Some of these guys are just going for a money grab. Um, like for
Okay,
example,
let's throw some name.
for example, Jorge Masvidal, Nate Diaz, them going into boxing, stuff like that. That was a money
Yeah,
grab. Now
absolutely.
it was entertaining to see those guys go as hard as they did for as many rounds. Um, we saw Ben Askren go into boxing, and that was a money
Yeah, but
grab.
he didn't have success.
He didn't, and neither did Tyrone Woodley, except if
No.
you consider getting millions of dollars success.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that is, where do your morals lie?
Now, if we're talking
Let's
about.
say Demetrius Johnson.
Right, if we're talking about Mighty Mouse, man, he
Yeah.
did phenomenal. Not only did he get paid well over there with one championship, as he went over there and claimed their title pretty quickly, and when he lost it, he did rematch that and has probably one of the best KO wins that I've ever seen when he got that belt back. That knee he did running with that guy and then slamming him into the fence with that walkaway knee, amazing. Still in my mind, that's the best KO that I've ever
Pound for
seen.
pound.
No, if he was a 200-pound guy, nobody in the world would be able to beat him, you know?
Absolutely.
Um, whenever people ask me, who's the GOAT of all MMA, I immediately, without hesitation, will say Demetrius Johnson. He did phenomenal. He did 12 fights in the UFC as champion and pretty much rocked all of those, and then got traded. Where you had other guys that got traded on that same deal, let's say Eddie Alvarez. He got
Yeah,
traded on that same deal.
absolutely.
He did not have the same
But
success. He came close. He got a title fight, and we were thinking, this is going to be the first guy to get the Bellator, UFC, and the one championship. But unfortunately, he was
fell a
stopped
little
short.
short.
But he had a good run there, and then he went to the BK FC where he came up a little short with Mike Perry, but it was phenomenal watching him transition over and seeing how big he was fighting in the BK as well. So, like I said, it depends on who they are. You know, really, what are they going for? Are they going for a money grab? Were they going for legacy type of deal? Most
What do
people
you
have
think
done pretty
about
well.
some of these?
UFC is a big enough platform that you're like, hey, I was a UFC champion. You're probably going to be doing decent anywhere you go. So,
I was gonna say, like, you were, right? So what do you think about, like, I feel some of these guys are much older, right? Like, so they're getting older, and some of these promotions like BKFC, for example, will take some of these older guys and let them still fight. Do you think that's part of it? Do you think, UFC is looking at them and like, hey, we can't really bank on you anymore, and so they get let go. But these guys, this is what they do. It's fight, like we talked about last time. It's in their blood. This is what they want to do, so they're gonna find a way.
and it's exactly right. UFC sees some of these guys as no longer marketable. So we can't market you the same way when you were originally with us. So unfortunately, they just separate and they let them go and find their other things. We call PFL and Bellator the B League. So a lot of guys will typically go over there first, and it's kind of like your old NFL quarterback that the team, he's getting retired from his team and he goes to another team, can he still show the magic? And there's
Absolutely.
very few quarterbacks that can do it. Like you see Brady, he was able to leave. And he went to the Tampa Bay. He brought them a Super Bowl. Couldn't do it the next year. Gracefully bowed out. I think we should be seeing more of these guys do that. If they're going to another organization and they're getting starched, I don't want to see you fight again. Like now, if it
Exactly.
was close and you made it all the way to a title fight, that's a little different. Eddie Alvarez, he made it all the way to the one championship, lost in the championship fight, but I thought he did well enough where I would have watched him take another run at that. Now he just called it quits. He was just like, my body and the training, the weight cuts are just a little too hard on me. Or BKUFC, they're brand new. They just wanted the legacy name. To them,
Absolutely.
UFC couldn't market an Eddie Alvarez, but the BKFC, they're like, man, we will take any legacy fighter we can. The name will
Yes.
bring us views. And if you're anywhere near Mike Perry's weight, we'll just throw you in there with that guy because he's our dude. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Well, that's also a perfect segue into my other uh, question that I had is, what do you think about, you know, Mike, or not, sorry, you got Mike Perry in my head now. Donald Cerrone coming back, right? You're speaking of legacy fighters, you're speaking of them, trying to get that. Is that what they're coming back for, a legacy deal, or is it because they still want to fight? Ooh, Donald Cerrone, he's publicly stated that he wants the 50 fights, right? So he's just doing this just for that? I think I'm on the fence of it, right? Cormier has some really good opinions on it, but I would kind of like to see him fight again to see what we're gonna get. Is it gonna be the Cerrone that's lost the 6 out of 7 of his last fights, and one of those being a no contest? So really, did he even win? Um, it's my I Cormier. Speaking of Cormier, he brings up some great points, right? Um, you've been off. You've been on TRT publicly. Seems like you're just coming back, just to do this one thing. Uh, I don't really understand the TRT aspect of it. Oh, he's been doing TRT for this amount of time, so he shouldn't come back. There's fighters that get hurt and injured and they have to, get better, get healthier. And, just because they're out of the pool of US USADA testing doesn't mean that they're trying to gain an advantage, right? They're trying to get better. That's what Cerrone did. He stepped away, tried to get publicly, said, everybody, this is what I'm doing. This is what I got to do to help myself to get better. It wasn't like it was a sneaky thing. Oh, I'm in the background doing TRT, pumping iron, working out. Is Cormier mad about McGregor? If he ever comes back, how jacked did McGregor get? You know what I mean? Like, there's all these other guys that have done this and come back, and I don't remember Cormier ever, kind of throwing a fit. So I don't agree with that.
I can
I,
tell
you
you why
know,
right now why Comier's mad. DC's only mad because of John Jones. John Jones got away with it and beat him. And now if he would have beat John Jones, he would have been like, it doesn't even matter, bro. But it all
yeah,
stems when it comes to DC, it really all stems down to his John Jones
that's a good point.
experiences. Now peptides and stuff like that are considered illegal substances are technically steroids. They are great for healing. You break a leg, you tear an ACL, you're trying to come back in a record amount of time. Peptides will speed up that process. Now, and the TRT, yes, that will gain muscle mass, but it can also help with the healing factor. It can speed up that turnaround time in between workouts and fatigue. Stepping away from the ring, doing it legitimately. Um, you know, I see where DC's coming from, but again, I think he's just jaded from the John Jones thing. Now, these guys taking the time off, 2 years, uh, Cowboy needed that. He needed to
Do
let his
you
body heal.
But do you think he had the intention the whole time to back down, step away, and then come back for 2 more fights? Do you think back then
No, I don't
he
think
still
so.
wanted to do 2 fights back then and he just couldn't because his body needed to recover? Or do you think that he was like, oh, I need to step away and I'll come back in a few years when I'm super fucking healed and do good?
That's what I like about Cowboy. He's always been pretty transparent with everything. He said before he retired that he was aiming for the 50 fights. He wanted to be the guy that had 50 UFC fights, not 50 MMA fights or career fights. He wanted 50 in the UFC. And then he fell short of that. And that's what will happen when you go on a losing skid. You kind of start doubting yourself. Am I really that good still? And I think at the time away, he realized I was really weak because I wasn't taking enough time to heal. And plus, when you are in TRT and you're juiced up, you start healing and you start feeling really good. You got that extra boost of energy. I think that plays a big factor. I think he was still working out and still training, because he's been doing that for so long that he was feeling really good. He probably starched a couple guys in some training or some sparring sessions and was like,
Yeah,
you know what? I do want to come back for those two fights. I want to solidify the 50. I'll come off the juice. And then where DC has where he argues is, well, you don't lose some of that. Yes, your physique will change a little bit when you come off the TRT for the make sure you're passing those tests, but you're still going to have a lot of that strength. You still use that accelerated time to heal. And I think that's where DC has his issues. I don't have as big of issue with that.
I don't either.
I'm more on the lines like, let's juice them
Let's
all up.
see
Let's
it.
make it
Let's
even.
see it.
Everybody stick a needle in your butt and we'll see how juiced up you can get. Let's get a bunch of Uberemes out there flexing on
Yes.
everybody. You seen Uberemes or Overeem since he quit taking juice? He looks like a normal dude like us,
Yeah.
It's like
He looks like Mighty Mouse.
yeah, exactly. He looking pretty frail when you compare him to what he used to be. I mean,
Absolutely.
he looked bigger than Nagano in some of those old pictures. You know what I mean? And
TRT Tito,
that's right. He looks like
TRT.
he runs
Like, come on,
marathons
let's
now,
see.
man. He looks like he wakes up and
Mighty
runs
Mouse.
20 miles every
TRT.
morning. So again, I'm not as stickler as some of those guys. Hey, if you're not in the testing pool, do what you need to do. I think Cerrone stepped away thinking he wasn't going to come back and he was going to live his best life. I'm not in the testing pool. Why not get juiced up? Why
Absolutely.
not look good while I'm in my off season? I
Yeah.
mean, a lot of these guys
He
like
is
DC, they just blow
41.
up like a balloon when they get out because they're not training anymore and they're still taking in all those calories. Cerrone being a farm guy that he is, he's like, I got to stay in shape. I got to take care of my
Absolutely.
cattle, all that kind of good stuff. Um, and I'm for it. Bring it. Like if you come in and you test clean, I'm all about it. It's
That
like the
was the
Brock
other
Lesnar's of
thing.
the game where it's like you're pretending you're clean, but we know you're juiced to the gills the whole time. That I got a problem with. You're coming in way enhanced. Cerrone will lose a lot of that muscle tone that he's gained over the last 2 years when he comes off for these 6 months of testing. So I think it's fine. Bring him in.
I
Let's see if
agree.
he can get those 2 wins. He's not trying to make another title run. He's just coming in for legacy. I don't think we make him gatekeep like some of these other guys. I think we give him some good people his age and let him do 2 legacy fights. He's already a Hall of Famer. Why not give him what he wants? You know what I mean? Throw him in there with shit. Throw him in there with McGregor again. I don't care. You know what I mean? You're talking about 2 juiced up guys. Let's see it, man. Let's see if you can
Oh
handle those
man.
fucking shoulder strikes this time.
No, man.
Uh,
That's great.
yeah, next week, when we get back on this, because we are coming up on our time limit for today, we're going to go over the 308 card, and it's pretty stacked.
Absolutely. Oh
So
my gosh.
I'm pretty excited for that one as well. That's that Max Holloway Topuria fight.
Yeah.
And
I'm
Topuria
excited
be
about
talking all the trash.
Whitaker and Chimaev.
Yeah, I mean, I'm Whitaker all day. Team Whitaker over here.
I know, me too, but I don't think I don't. If Chimaev gets a hold of him, it's game over. I mean, that's just what those guys do. I don't know what it is. They wrestle with bears. What can I say? Like, I don't even know. It's gonna be. I mean, and Dan Ige. It is a stacked card. There is
It's a pretty
quite a
good
few.
card, and we're definitely going to go over that. That'll be a good 40 minutes next Friday for sure.
Absolutely.
Um, any follow ups? You got anything else for me? Any other topics you want to go over today, Jason?
No, I think that was it. I did call you on Royval last week. I got
Mm,
the win.
you did, and it was a tight fight though.
It
It
was
was
a tight fight.
round
I was
one, round
texting
two,
you going,
round
"Oh
one,
my
round
gosh,
two.
are you watching this?"
And when I went and watched it, I had to stop it and rewind it because I was just like, wow, like
They
just when you
were
thought Roy Volk,
battling.
was just turning it up, and then
Yes.
all of a sudden, it was back turned around. He was on his back for this whole second round, and then all of a sudden they stand
Yes.
it back
He
up, and
figured it out.
He
He
did,
had
and then
figured
what?
it out.
But then round 3 came, and he was just throwing them strikes, and then round 4 came, he was back on his back, and then round
Yeah,
5, he was like, "I'm not going down. I'm actually gonna take this guy down, and I'm gonna punch him in the face. I'm gonna make sure I give him his first loss." It was pretty good, actually.
it
You
was
know,
great, and like I said, I think that his experience got him through that clearly. I mean, he had Tatsuro rocked a couple times. He had him in the bag, and he just couldn't sink those chokes. And then Tatsuro found his back and just kind of like just wrapped himself around him with that body triangle and just kind of like locked onto him for a few minutes out of a few rounds. And he got lucky that he did enough at the end to really, lock it in. But
talking
hey,
about a
Royval.
coin flip on that DraftKings pick. They were pretty close, and I wasn't really sure who was gonna win either, but geez, it was like round 1, round 2, round 3, round 4, back and
Absolutely. It was
back and back,
good.
and I was on the edge of my seat the whole time, like, "Wow,
Yeah,
this
both of
is a
them
stellar fight."
round four, their corners were both like, this is an even fight. You got to go. Like now is the time.
Yeah, and I know that first loss really hurt Tatsura, but I mean, he's young. He'll bounce back.
He'll bounce
And like
back.
Royval said, Royval does get the next title fight, in my opinion, but he said Tatsura is going to come for that title, and
Oh,
he is
for
going to
sure.
get there, and he wouldn't mind training with him and helping him get there in the future. So we will see that up and comer. He looked just too good for coming into the UFC with very little fights, uh, just looking phenomenal. I think he'll get over this loss, maybe hopefully take the experience, come back, and then work his way back up. He's probably 3 fights away from an actual title fight. I think we'll see Royval go against Brandon Moreno. I think we'll actually see this. Is that right? Is that the right weight class? I think it is, right?
And Royval,
Yeah, Royval.
flyweight.
Yeah, yeah, flyweight. So yeah, so it'd
Yeah,
be Brandon Moreno. So I say throw him in there with Brandon Moreno. Give Tatsura maybe 2, 3 more fights, and then give him whoever's holding the title at that time right there.
there you go. Well, that's all I had. If you got anything else,
No, I think that's pretty good. I think we covered most of the main fights coming up this weekend. We did their little recap. We even gave a little preview for what's going to go on next week with the 308 card. Um, I think we'll just we'll pay attention to these fights this week. Maybe we'll try to sneak another one in on Tuesday, kind of do a midweek recap. And
okay.
I like these video chats that we're doing here. So
Yeah,
um,
absolutely. It's fun.
it is, and it's good to have somebody to bounce some good ideas off of. That being said, let me transition back over to our social media calls. So, people, hey, I'm Mad Mike BMX. You can find me everywhere on the internet as Mad Mike BMX. If you go to X, Facebook, you go to Instagram, you can check out some cool BMX stuff. Jason also, he is my partner in crime with some BMX. You can
Absolutely.
follow him at all the social media at Rock and Roll BMX. If you like our little cartoon icons, good homie, poor boy Steve did those for us. Look him up on Instagram. That's Steve Steev, uh, and get you some artwork done. Um, Thanks again, Jason, for joining the podcast. I'll talk to you after this, and we'll schedule something for maybe Tuesday or Wednesday. We'll
Sounds
just have to
good.
look at my work schedule and see what fits in for there. But I'm sure we can fit something in the middle of the week. Do a quick recap, and then BS on any gossip or news that we've heard through the MMA. Uh, I'll throw it in there. Next week, we're going to talk about Paige and her OnlyFans because I hear it's pretty
Oh
hot.
man.
We're
Oh
not gonna
man.
pull it up because YouTube will get mad at me, but we'll discuss it. I
Absolutely,
heard there was some
absolutely.
leaks out there where we don't necessarily have to pay, but hey,
I
Paige is a
haven't seen
hottie.
anything.
Paige is a hottie, and hey, I'll be looking on the internet later to see if I can find some leaks. Just so I got
Well,
something to
thanks for
talk about.
having me. I appreciate it.
No problem, but I'll talk to you soon, and we'll at least do another MMA Friday next week. Again, guys,
Absolutely.
subscribe, like the video. We want to get to 50 so we can do these live. They're
Hit
fun
that
for us.
bell.
Yeah, they're fun for us, but again, we don't get to do these live. I hit stop and then I got to upload them where Facebook or Instagram and all that stuff will let us do live, but not quite the same audience. So just tune in next week. We'll have a whole bunch of other stuff going on. And if you see something pop up, and that's why he said hit that bell, because if we do a middle of the week, you definitely want to tune in. Thanks a lot,
That's
Jason.
right.
I'll see you next week, bud.
Later.